Welcome home to USA Global TV and Radio, a place where dreams take flight, with authentic storytelling, diverse perspectives and meaningful conversations, where global stories unite and bridges are built beyond all borders. Discover world-class education, entertainment, hope and inspiration. Together, we're building bridges worldwide. Subscribe to our channel, USA Global TV. Download our app, USA Global TV. Be our guest or join our team. Visit usaglobaltv.com. Thanks to our founder and executive producer, Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck. Music score by Yeffy Tang from Cloud Road Music. Voiceover artist Mike Porter. Creative direction by Paul Garcia. USA Global TV and Radio. Your home for global connection. All rights reserved. This video and its contents are the exclusive property of USA Global TV and Radio. Unauthorized use, duplication or redistribution in any form is strictly prohibited.
If you could choose one experience that you think everyone should try at least once in their lifetime, what would it be? Would it be something big? Traveling somewhere completely unfamiliar and new, taking a risk, seeing something you've dreamed about your whole life? Or could it be something much simpler? Watching the sunrise, sleeping under the stars, trying a food you thought you would never like, or doing something that you're terrible at just because it's fun. So today on A Woman's Prerogative, we're asking, what is something everyone should try at least once? And joining me today is my wonderful co-host, Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck.
Hello, thanks for having me.
Dr. Jacalyn, this is one of those topics that I think could take us just about anywhere. And I have to admit that as I was thinking about it, I was making my own list about things that I have tried once. And I either didn't like or I did like, and my list just kept growing. And I have a feeling that you and I probably have some similar items on our lists, but also probably some different ones. What came to mind when you heard the topic, or when we found out the topic for this week?
I think everyone should get the opportunity to travel. And travel can look like a million different things. It can be going abroad. It can be traveling within your own country. Just getting out of what it is that you know on a day-to-day basis and really experiencing other cultures and how other people live.
I can't agree more. That was one of the very top ones on my list. And obviously, I love to travel a ton. At the moment, I'm sitting in beautiful Kuala Kencana in Papua, Indonesia. And if I had not taken this opportunity, I would not be who I am today. So traveling definitely is right up there on my list.
And if there wasn't any traveling, you and I wouldn't have met in London.
Exactly. We would have missed out on a great friendship, and I would not be co-hosting with you.
That's right.
It's amazing the opportunities that taking that one chance can actually give you. If you could choose, we've said traveling is at the top of both of our lists, but if we could choose just 5 things to try, what would be on your list?
One of them is definitely education for people who have the opportunity to continuously learn. And I think that is so exciting and so interesting. And I know many people think, let me get out of high school and let me be done with my learning. I don't want to go to college or this or that. But the journey that I've had with my education has taken me so many places. I've met so many people, and I've just grown exponentially as a person. So that's one for me. How about for you?
I would actually say I think everyone should try at least once going out of their comfort level and trying something that terrifies them, because it can be a life-changing experience. Mine was other than the travel, was diving. I love water. Anything to do with water, except that I'm scared of deep water. I'm terrified. I go into instant panic attack the moment I come in contact with it. And I don't like being scared, so I actually enrolled in a diving course and I got my open water. It took me a bit. I had a wonderful, wonderful instructor who was very patient, because my head would go under the water and all of a sudden I would start panicking and I would be clawing my way back to the surface. And he was so patient. And I eventually was able to do 3 deep dives, and it was miraculous being under the water. So I would highly encourage, if you have the chance to try that. That was definitely one of the things on my list, was experiencing something that terrified me, and diving was that for me. It was life-changing. It was absolutely amazing. I cannot describe exactly what that one thing did for me. So that would be mine.
That's a
Try
huge
something.
one. Yeah, and that's something that I probably would never do, because I am also terrified of being out at sea. So in other words, not that I'm afraid of being on a boat, but if the boat were to capsize, and then what would happen? And so that leads me to something that I did do, only because I earned the trip when I was in corporate, but it was a cruise. And I am not a cruising person. I don't think I've ever gone on a cruise since then. But I went on a cruise and I took my mother as my +1. And it actually was, I don't want to say it was worse than I thought, but it's not something I will be repeating. I almost felt like I was in a floating prison, because you can't go anywhere, you can't do anything, and the seas were really rough, and the ship was going back and forth, and they were walking around handing out bags in case you got sick. And so I'm not going to say everyone should do that, but you do get to see a lot of places, depending on which cruise you're on. You get to see places from a distance, and then they stop in the ports, and you get to see places maybe that you wouldn't go otherwise. So I guess exploring, being open to exploring.
That resonates. I love that. And I'm so sorry you had that experience, but at the same time, I'm thankful you did, because that's a once in a lifetime experience that a lot of people won't get to have. Brian and I have talked about going on a cruise, and we have a lot of people who we know that have been on them. But I don't know if I could be on a boat in the middle of the ocean.
You're totally helpless. There's nothing you can do.
Exactly. And even though I've been diving, I do still have that fear of the deep water. I know what's in it.
That's the same thing with me. I know what's in there, which brings me to another one. It just popped into my head: stand-up paddleboarding. And I forced myself to do stand-up paddleboarding, because I said to myself, you will not fall off this board, because if you fall off, you're going to be in the ocean or the bay or wherever it was. And so the first time I went out, I did fall off, and I fell into the mud. It was disgusting. And I got back on, and I never fell off again. And then my mother, as a present, she bought me a board. And so I loved it. But my toes, I would always be holding on so tightly with my toes, because I was terrified of falling. But I thought it's such a good workout. And I got pretty good where I could, one side and then the other side. It's an excellent workouts. But I don't know if it's for everyone, but I do think when you are the captain of your own ship and it's you against nature, it is kind of interesting and fun. But not falling off, no.
My kids tried paddleboarding when we lived in Qatar. They had friends that lived on the beach, and they each would go and they would try it, and they loved it. I'm I'm not sure I could do it. One, I don't have the balance. It would definitely help with that, but I think I would be very conscious of the water underneath me. So I don't know if I could concentrate. So well done. That's
Thank you. We actually, my sister has one too, and we actually sold our boards just this summer because my nails are so long that even if I kept it, and of course I have no place to put it, I cannot physically pick it up anymore. So it's interesting how growing long nails, there's a lot of things I can't do. And people say, well, why don't you cut them? I don't need to do these other things. I like having the nails more.
I have found that I keep mine at a decent length, but I find if they get too long, then I struggle with my typing. I struggle with picking up even my cutlery. Right, supposed to hold the cutlery a certain way, and I struggle when my nails are too long.
I could tell you travel stories related to having long nails that are really hilarious, but I'm not going to go into them now. That could be another show.
There's another topic. We'll do one on nails.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I'm going to go back to something you mentioned about exploring, and it was a comment you made while you were talking about having tried the paddleboarding and the cruise, that traveling and exploring and experiencing the different cultures and the different learning outcomes that you could get from traveling to somewhere new. One of the things that came up on my list was spending time alone. But one of the things that fell under that was traveling. And it made me think my very first trip that I did on my own, all by myself, was only about, I want to say, about 7, 8 years ago. Before that, I'd always traveled with either my family or with Brian. We've always done our trips together. And I was doing dragon boating, and we'd been invited to Georgia to do a competition. And as a birthday gift, because the competition fell on my birthday weekend, Brian gave me an extra week to go and explore Georgia. Absolutely terrified, because I've never traveled on my own. I don't speak the language or any of the languages they speak there, because they do speak a few different ones. And I was absolutely terrified. What if I couldn't find my way around? What if I couldn't understand them? What if I got lost? And your mind goes into this spiral of what ifs until you get to a point where you go, well, that's not going to happen. Does that even happen to anybody? Why am I? But it was such a wonderful experience. The people in Georgia are some of the friendliest I've ever met. And I actually ended up doing a tour into Azerbaijan as well for a couple of days. And I got on the public transport, the buses, to go to some of the different cities. And I met some other solo travelers, and we kind of paired up and did some of the hikes and the church tours. And it was so amazing. And I had this feeling of accomplishment when I got back, because I wasn't sure I could travel on my own. So one of the things I would highly recommend and say that people should try and do, even if it's just a trip to the next town or the next city to go see a zoo, or just have that chance to travel and get to know yourself and what you're capable of.
It's very true. That's a good point, because things always come up when you're traveling and you don't anticipate it. And sometimes you have to rely on the kindness of strangers. I know my first trip that I took by myself was to Paris, and it was in 1999, and nobody could believe. They're like, what do you mean? But I had just gotten divorced, and I thought I need to just get away and clear my head. And I always wanted to go to Paris, and it was fantastic. It was absolutely incredible. And I'm so glad that I did it, because you're out of your comfort zone. You're in another country, and you have to go by your instincts. And also, hoping that people are going to help you if you can't speak. Like, I can speak French, but not the way they speak it there. So I have to speak very slowly, hands, this, that. So it was an incredible opportunity, and I would highly recommend that to someone as well.
It is. And you do have experiences when you do those trips. We went up, we did a hike up to one of the churches in one of their small towns. And I went with another girl that I met while staying in the hostel in the main city. And we decided we would just rent a room and share for the night, just to make it easier. The room that we stayed in it was very nice, and the gentleman who owned the house was very nice. But the room was crawling in spiders.
Mm.
They were everywhere. And anyone who knows me knows that is one of my fears that I have no interest in getting over. I can't seem to get over.
You're not alone, please.
It's horrible. But the girl who was with me was also scared of spiders. So we've done this hike, and we mean to go back the next day and do some more. I don't think either of us slept all night. She was so panicked, she actually called her boyfriend, who wasn't even in the country, and went, "Okay, that's it. You have to come save us. This spider's looking at me." And I'm just sitting there going, yeah, I could call Brian, but he's just going to laugh at me and go, "What do you want me to do about it?"
Right, exactly. That is not something I want to deal with either, believe me.
It was horrifying, but I did it on my own. Well, okay, I wasn't on my own. This other girl was with me, but I was able to handle it. We woke up in the morning, and we actually did move accommodations. And we did our hike, though we did cut it early, and we all came back, and we had a nap. And then we went and met up with some other solo travelers, had this fantastic dinner. But as terrifying as it was, I handled it. I don't know if I would say I actually handled it well, but I handled it.
But you're still here, so that's good news.
I'm still here, even though I think a couple of them may have been big enough to eat us whole, but...
And the more you think about it, the bigger they get.
Well, and Brian said, "Well, how big was it?" And I went, "Well, it was like this big." And he went, "So it was this big." And I went, No.
It was walking on legs. It was terrifying. It was going to take down the Empire State Building.
Exactly.
Yes.
But I did it. And again, it was something new, and it was not planned. It was an experience that came because of our location, and we could not have planned it. But I'm glad it happened. Would I do it again? Absolutely not.
Check that right off the list.
Right off. Anything to do with things with 8 legs has no place on my list at all, ever.
Totally agree. I'm sure a lot of people out there would agree with you as well.
Oh, it was, yeah. But no, that would be something on my list, is to do something, spend time completely alone. And not that I want anyone to be lonely, but spending time with yourself is important. And I didn't realize how important it was. And it has been such a learning curve to realize that I can spend time on my own, and I don't need to always be around people. And I've gotten to know myself better because of it. And I never expected that to happen, but it did. So that was something that went on my list.
Well, I'd have to say that I'm an expert in that area because I spend a significant amount of time alone by choice. And you do learn a lot about yourself. And you also learn, as you get older, that the things that used to matter don't matter as much as they used to. You let things go, and you give yourself grace.
Yes. Yes, you do. Absolutely. Absolutely. Now, I did ask, when I was putting the promo out for this episode, I did ask people on my social media. I asked, what is something that you would would recommend for someone to try. And I had a couple of replies from people, and they actually, a lot of them seem to kind of go with what we've already been discussing. One person said surfing. They would recommend everyone try surfing at least once in their life. And I went, that's great. It reminds me of your paddleboarding. And I always watch the surfers, right? I watch them when we go to Bali, or you see them on TV, and I always go, oh, that looks like so much fun. But then they crash into the water.
Right. It's a learning curve, I'm sure.
So, and I had one other reply, and it was from a young man that I actually went to school with, that I haven't spoken to I haven't spoken to him since we graduated. His name is Mike. And he actually one thing that he thinks everyone should try at least once in their life is caving or splunking. And he brought up a couple of examples, and one of them was in Alberta, we have a cave system called Catamount Caves. And there are some wonderful caverns in there, and they have bats and a couple of areas that you have to rappel down. And I did them in junior high with him. And it was just amazing. I don't actually know if he realized who he was answering. So I actually sent him back a little message going, hey, Mike, this was because it actually had made my list. So I would say, again, try something new. Try something you've never thought about doing, and caving would be one of those. It's a whole nother world in some of those cave systems. But please make sure you go with somebody who knows all the safety and the cave systems so that you don't get lost.
Absolutely. Have a guide with you for sure.
Have you ever been caving, Dr. Jacalyn?
No. Anything that involves getting in the water is a no. It's a hard no.
I remember doing Catamount, and the climb up is this really steep. It's in the mountains, and it's this really steep climb up, and then you kind of have to lower yourself in through the entrance. But some of the formations down there are very, very, very neat. I will admit, I never had the courage to do the rappelling down some of the systems. Some of our group would do it, and they were so thin that you literally had to expel all your air to fit through. And the same on the way up, or else you're stuck. You cannot get back. I never had the courage to try that. I kind of regret it, but
there's still time, Amanda.
There is still time. And I've spoken to my family about going and doing some of the cave exploring again. I do remember the one trip we had just come out of the cave system, and we're all sitting on the top of this mountain, and an avalanche actually started right next to us. And the teachers are all going, okay, nobody move, everyone just wait, because they're watching to see where the slide is going and if we have to move quickly. Or it was very neat experience, not one that I want to repeat again either. And the snow actually started moving. The side that gave way came just up to where we were, so we were all safe. But it would have taken moments, and it was terrifying, but it was very neat to watch the system happen. So once it was done, we actually ended up having to stay up on the mountain longer than we planned, because we had to wait for it to be safe and for the rescue teams to come and go, okay, it's safe, we can now make our way down. And the way they do that is they actually it was a rope, and we literally slid our way down this mountain till we hit the tree lines, and then we could kind of pick our way down and get back to the campsite. Again, not a planned experience, but something that happened that was very neat. And it was a learning curve, and I learned a lot from the experience. But I look back at those going, I'm glad I had that chance to actually go in it and try something new like that. Though I do know people who go, no, I would have no interest in that.
Well, I guess it's risk versus reward. And if the reward is such that it's something that means something to you, because what means something to one person doesn't mean something to another person, right? So if it's got all this risk, the risk is high and the reward is low, it's kind of like, no, I think I'll pass.
Very true. On that note, this is, I think, is a great spot to go take a commercial break, and we will be back shortly.
Every great story begins with a vision. At USA Global TV and Radio for years, we've been providing world-class education, entertainment, inspiration, imagination, connections, and hope. Most people don't stay to watch the outro or the credits, but it's the people behind every success, behind every breakthrough, and behind every unforgettable story who matter. The TV show hosts, our guests, our sponsors, our publicists, our production team, our distribution team, our search engine optimization team, and so many more. You're the ones who make the difference. Every great story belongs to the people who bring it to life. Our future looks bright at USA Global TV and Radio, and that's because of you, our loyal fan base all around the world in more than 60 countries. Together, we're making a difference because you matter. USA Global TV and Radio, live streaming to over 60 countries. Voiceover, Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck. Video production and direction, Paul Garcia. Subscribe to our channel, USA Global TV and Radio on YouTube.
Welcome back to A Woman's Prerogative. Today we're talking about what is something everyone should experience at least once. Before the break, we've been sharing some of the experiences that we think are worth having in our lifetime. But I was thinking over the break, and one of the things that was also mentioned were the experiences that were never planned, and how some of those experiences were some of the best experiences we ever had. So to continue on this topic, I'd like to welcome back my co-host, Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck.
Hello, thanks for having me.
Dr. Jacalyn, when you look back, would you say some of your favorite experiences were ones that you never planned?
I'm standing here before you today, literally running a television network, and there was no plan for this.
Life-changing, isn't it? It can be those opportunities that come and you have that option to go, no, I'm not going to take this. Or you can go, you know what? I'm going to jump on it and I'm going to try something new. And it can alter your outlook on life, and it can change your whole life. As you said, you wouldn't be here had you not done that. And I know we talked about some of the things that have happened with experiences that we had that were never planned. But I would add that to my list, saying yes to unexpected opportunities. I know had we not said, yes, we want to try something most people will never have the chance to try, I wouldn't be in Papua at the moment. With all the things that come with it, but I would never have had the chance to experience that. So do you think, Dr. Jacalyn, that sometimes our being too organized can sometimes prevent us from experiencing things?
I think that having systems in place and being structured and disciplined gives you the freedom to be able to take on opportunities. I think when we're living in a world that's completely chaotic, including inside of our mind, we can't actually know, well, what capacity do I have to take on opportunities? And I think also there are stories that we tell ourselves that prevent us from taking opportunities. And one of the big stories is about money. I don't have enough money. I don't make enough money. But meanwhile, what are you doing with your money on a regular basis? Have you actually looked at how you're spending your money? And I think that when we are structured and disciplined, then we are living our life in such a way that we don't have chaos. That when chaos does appear, that we have tools that we can embrace it. And how can we harness it and use it to our advantage? So I don't think it is a deterrent. I think it's actually a positive.
I like how you explain that. I really do. Because before you answered that, I actually would have probably disagreed a little bit on the fact that being very organized could make you miss some of those. But I actually have changed my thoughts now. That was a wonderful explanation. Thank you.
Thank you. The power of persuasion. It's something
Exactly.
I've learned at the Wharton School of Business. No, it's very true, because think about how you start your day. Whomever is watching, wherever they're watching, do you have certain rituals that you do? Probably. But also, it could be that first thing in the morning, you are taking time that you could be doing something else and you're not doing anything productive. And I'm not having any judgment about that. But I think when you are productive, from when you set a boundary for when you wake up, let's say I'll give myself half an hour, you will be much more ready for the day and whatever opportunities life brings to you.
I completely agree with that. And you're right, we do. Most people, and I'm not saying everyone, but most people do have their routines. And I hadn't quite thought of that as being part of the whole organization system, though I should have. That's But you're absolutely right, and that helps get you ready for the day and anything that comes your way, so that you're more able to say, "Oh, look at this opportunity. I can take that because I actually am in control of my chaos."
Absolutely. Like for me, every morning I make my bed. Now, there's no one here, there's no one visiting me, but everything is perfect. I fold up all the laundry, I put the laundry away, and when I do leave, everything is in its place. There is never any chaos. And part of the reason is, and this might sound a little strange, but if something were to happen to me and my beneficiary would have to come in and take over and clean up my life, why not leave that life in a nice order? Because think about it. When you live your life like chaos, usually if you have a car, your car reflects it. It's a war zone, it's a disaster. Your home, your office, some part of your life is unkempt. And that's not a judgment, it's just a fact. It's not in order. There's a difference to me between having your life in order and being the other, completely obsessive compulsive, where you're constantly moving things and turning things, and that's a different story, and I have no judgment on that either. But looking at having a life that is free of clutter, for example, collecting clothes, collecting whatever it is that you like to collect, it could be stamps, it could be baseball cards, and it's taking up a huge portion of your home. What purpose is it serving? Do you even go and look at it to see, well, what is in there? What am I doing with it? Sometimes people will collect things because it's taking the place of them expressing their feelings. So they put their feelings into whatever it is that they're collecting. It's sort of representative of that. So to me, when you keep your house in order, when your car's in order, when your mind's in order, that's the most important one, then you're more open for opportunities, because otherwise you might not even see them. You don't see the opportunities because you're so mired in the chaos, and you can't get certain things done because you can't even find where things are. And it's almost like your memory becomes so convoluted with pieces of information that you're collecting that you're not doing anything with. So for me, what I like to do is, once a decision's been made about something, I do not revisit it. That's over. I'm moving on. And I gave this analogy, and I'm going to give it now because I think it's helpful. I was saying this to someone today. It's sort of like, let's say you and I are on the same team. And as the Americans call it, football. You're on a football field, okay? And I'm the quarterback, and I have the ball. And the ball represents whatever opportunity could come your way. And so I say to you, we're in the huddle, and I know I'm going to get the ball. And I say, listen, if I see you're open, I'm going to throw you the ball. And you're thinking, what if I drop the ball? What if my hands are sweaty? What if I get knocked down? What if I get tackled? What if? So you're not even thinking about, here's this great opportunity, and I've just been the chosen one to get it. You're mired in all these excuses. So now you're going down the field backwards, and I'm looking to throw the ball, and it's going to be a Hail Mary because it's about 50 yards, and you're surrounded by all these players. And you're like, please don't throw it to me. Don't throw me the ball, because if you throw me the ball, I can't guarantee what's going to happen. And I throw you the ball. You happen to catch the ball, and you stand there with it. Now you stand, and then you turn around, and you're like, what's going on behind me? Instead of running and scoring a touchdown. And so that's what we do also. We start to look in the past. Well, now I got this opportunity. I don't know if I'm good enough. What am I going to tell my partner? How am I going to deal with this? And now the ball is ripped from your hands by another player who sees the moment to take the opportunity and run it down the field the other way and score a touchdown.
I love that. Opportunities you almost turned down. Had you not caught that ball, you would never have made that Hail Mary shot. I love that.
Yeah.
And
but are we ready for it? Is our mind filled with clutter, thinking about all the things that we haven't done to prepare us for this moment to catch the ball? And so to me, being structured and organized, you are a step ahead.
No, that makes perfect sense. And you're right. If you're organized, having that opportunity come is much easier to say, yes, I'm going to take it, than going, no, I have so much that I have to get done before I can do that. Or what if this? You're absolutely right. Being organized can definitely help with that.
Absolutely.
And I do think about that. The opportunities that come at you that you almost turn down because you're not quite ready, or you're thinking, oh, I still need to do this, or I need to finish this. I think we've all had those moments. We've all had that chance to try something new, or an opportunity that comes our way that most have said, okay, you know what, this is not the time. I'm not ready. I'm not organized to take this opportunity. And you look back and go, oh, I wish I had done that. But then there's opportunities come and you're still not quite ready. But you go, you know what? I'm going to take this chance. I'm going to try this new thing. And you experience things that you never thought you'd experience.
Absolutely. Speaking of you, trying this and being a TV show host on A Woman's Prerogative, and our very next show, The Social Edge, which is coming up in a few minutes. So I want to thank you for having me here today. I really appreciate it. And I'll let you close out the show.
Thank you, Dr. Jacalyn. I think one of the things I've taken away from today's conversation is that there's probably isn't one list of experiences that everyone needs to have. What's more, let me try that this way. What means something to me might mean something to someone, something absolutely different to someone else. Some experiences change us, some challenge us, some introduce people, places, and ideas that we never expected. They brought friendships, they brought new loves, they brought a wealth of new experiences that you never would have had the chance to try. And others are just simply fun. And maybe that's the important part, to stay curious, to occasionally step outside of what we know, and every now and then say yes to something simply because we'd like to experience it. And perhaps instead of asking, what should everyone experience at least once, we should ask ourselves, what haven't I experienced yet? I want to thank Dr. Jacalyn for joining me today. Dr. Jacalyn, how can people get a hold of you?
I'm very easy to find on social media. People can just put my name in and all of my platforms will come up. And of course, the show notes have the contact information if you'd like to be a guest on any of our programs. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Jacalyn. I'm Amanda Holmstrom. I'm founder and director of Silver Rose & Co. I've spent more than 25 years living and working internationally, and those experiences have had an enormous influence on the work I do today, particularly around communication, social confidence, etiquette, and understanding how differently our approach can be to similar situations for everyone involved. You can learn more about Silver Rose on my website, silverroseco.ca. And you can also reach me on LinkedIn under Amanda Holmstrom. And you can find Silver Rose & Co. on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube as well. Thank you all for joining us this week. We'll see you next week on A Woman's Prerogative.
What if many of the problems we associate with aging are not random? What if there are identifiable causes behind declining energy, chronic disease, and memory problems? We have been told that aging is simply something we must accept, that slowing down is normal, that growing older means growing weaker. But what if that's only part of the story? Why do some people remain active and engaged well into their later years? Why do others struggle with disease, fatigue, and declining health? What is happening beneath the surface? What processes drive aging? In Aging Sucks, researcher, educator, and author Red O'Loughlin explores what researchers have discovered about why we grow older. No medical degree required, no confusing jargon, just clear explanations of what researchers have discovered about the processes that influence aging. You cannot stop aging, but understanding its causes may help you make better decisions about your health, your future, and your quality of life. Because understanding comes before action. Action creates hope. Aging sucks. End the guesswork. There is hope.
Thank you, viewers and listeners of USA Global TV and Radio, for joining us today. We're honoured to have your time and attention as part of our global community. At USA Global TV and Radio, we believe in the power of authentic conversations, meaningful connections, and creating a world of possibilities together. Want to be part of something bigger? Join our team of elevated listeners at usaglobaltv.com, a space where your voice matters and your ability to listen transforms relationships. Stay connected with us across all our platforms for thought-provoking discussions, expert insights, and empowering stories. Subscribe to our channels at youtube.com/c/USAGlobalTV. Follow us on social media and explore the endless opportunities we're creating for growth, learning, and inspiration. Together, we're not just broadcasting, we're building bridges and changing lives one conversation at a time. For inquiries, contact us at info@usaglobaltv.com. Produced by Executive Producer and Director Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck. Voiceover by Mike Porter. Creative direction by Paul Garcia. All rights reserved. Visit usaglobaltv.com to view our full terms and conditions.